Hello and welcome to the live broadcast of the Sydney International Piano Competition 2023. And joining me now is piano technician David Kinney, who's representing Fazioli. We call you Dr Faz, actually.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm honoured.
It's interesting for lots of people, of course. They don't actually realise that there's sort of like a pit crew happening here. You're taking care of these instruments during this big event.
Yeah.
You in particular are busy with this Italian instrument, which of course, you know, has probably been created just for this competition, I take it.
Sure has.
So tell us about it, the instrument and its journey to Australia.
Well, okay, it is a new instrument. Yes, it was chosen by the factory people, their head technicians, and I can imagine Paolo Fazioli would have selected it for this occasion. And because every piano has its own character, its own voice, I imagine they would have used the bold character as their prime characteristic of reason for choosing it. Yeah, you're looking for something with a lot of fire in the belly.
And so it's flown out, right?
Flown out from Italy. Yeah.
When did it arrive?
It arrived about 2 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, what lots of people don't realise is that instruments are almost like living beings, actually. They react according to the weather. They have moods.
They do. Yes.
According to the amount of moisture in the air,
That's
how
right.
dry it is, the various temperatures outside and all the rest of it.
Right.
So you've got a full-time job keeping that instrument performing in top condition, you know?
Absolutely. Luckily, it's very dry and stable at the moment. The atmospheric conditions are favourable for pianos.
Okay.
Cool and dry is perfect. So the pianos are behaving themselves. The thing that changes over time and through usage is the voice of the piano through the hammers.
Okay.
And that's an ongoing practice that we use to keep the piano at its best and literally find its voice, keep its voice. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's the biggest part of the job, is keeping the sound of the piano at its best.
Okay, so lots of different people playing the same instrument. It must be very interesting for you each time you hear somebody, you think, oh, do I hear that person, or do I hear a Fazioli, or what happens when a different person plays that instrument?
That's a very good question, and it takes a long answer. Would you like the short one?
No, you can give us a long one.
Okay.
Sorry, David, we're going to make you work in this interview.
There's so many facets to that.
Yeah,
First,
it's fascinating.
Yeah,
That's
it is
really
endlessly, and it's ongoing. You'll never know enough about it, basically. So we're all learning. The maker, the technicians, and the pianists all learning this.
Wow.
Ongoing.
Okay.
It never stops. Okay, you have one piano and several pianists. Strangely, each one of those pianists will make a different sound from the piano and bring out this other character in it. The ones that have the most success or find its voice are the ones that don't fight it and are able to work with the instrument. They might be familiar with the style of instrument, or they might be very adaptive as pianists. They're able to go straight into the machine without being phased by its difference. So this is a real, Sydney in particular, competition is a real testing ground for that. I don't know, it's a kind of intellectual approach to music making. And for piano technician point of view, piano technical point of view, our job is to understand that first and foremost, is that we are there to keep that voice where it is, true to the piano, but to understand also that different pianists like different things and accept it that way. So we look for the middle point where most people are going to be happy with the piano most of the time. Okay. So yeah, different sound on the same piano from different pianists, or a different character. That's just the way it goes. Some pianists make a piano shine, others they might struggle with it, or expect something that isn't there, and it doesn't quite come across in the performance. So yeah, their adaptive strategy is also ours. And we're listening to that all the time to get a feel for what it is that they're looking for. The piano maker's always thinking about this in architectural concepts, and what it is actually that makes the piano. It is what it is according to the maker's ear, the mind's ear. What do they want to make? What do they like? What do they know is going to be successful? Yeah. And the rest is up to the pianist to enjoy it. And it just, the level of professionalism here amongst the young pianists is astounding. And
it's quite amazing that such young pianists have got this experience with different instruments, isn't it, actually?
Yeah.
It's a very unique aspect of this competition as well, that they're all basically being not just invited, but actually forced to play on different instruments in the first rounds. And that's something that's rather unique, isn't it?
I think it's the first of the international competitions that adopted this framework. Yeah. And I think there's been another since. I think it might be in Scotland.
Okay.
Happy to be corrected, but the idea is that you're here to put on a show. This is not about the piano. This is about you and the music, and that's the life of the pianist. They don't travel with their instrument. Well, some do.
Yeah. Well, yes, I can't think of too many just at the moment.
Andras Schiff does.
Andras Schiff does, and of course I think Michelangelo did as well.
He did as well,
yes. He go around, and I'm not sure what instrument he played, but...
He had a Steinway, or was it Fabrini Steinway?
Fabrini
Steinway, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a rare luxury for the gods of playing the piano.
Yeah.
So the rest of us and pianists make do with what's given to us, and mostly it's pretty good these days. So there's not as much cause for complaint or concern as there used to be in the concert halls. The standard of pianos better in the last 20, 30 years, more consistent across the board in all the makers, all the top brands. And the standard of piano technical work has improved alongside that, and that's through the sharing of knowledge and the interchange of ideas and exchange of ideas and techniques throughout the world, various different piano factories, etc.
Yes, modern technology is actually having its effect on the production of these instruments as well, but also, like you say, this community actually exchanging ideas, listening to other people and all the rest of it, or on an international basis makes a big difference as well.
Of course, yeah. And it's all for the better. It seems to be less polarized now, and more about the music. I think it's an interesting thing. Yeah, it's about time, because it can be very tribal.
Right.
This business. And that gets a bit tedious.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Of course, David, you are up at all hours of the night working through. Yes.
What a lot
of people don't realise is that concert pianists often rehearse through the night as well.
They do.
Because they get into the hall and they get to the piano that they're going to perform on. Right. They need to check the acoustics, they need to check the instrument. Right. And there's no other time for them to access it because there are other rehearsals and other concerts happening.
Exactly right.
And you, of course, are often on standby to help and to change and to do the things that need to happen in those times. It's quite a demanding job you've got there,
It can be very demanding, yeah, with the hours, the strange hours in particular, but really only for piano competitions, of course, where there might be one or more, two or more pianos, and here's three in this. If there's one instrument, it's a little easier, because you get more free time to work with the instrument. It's a little more compressed with three pianos, so we have to work through 3-hour shifts in rotation during the night. The worst shift is from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. No one wants that, but we all get it.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Yeah, and it's very fair that way. It's just is what it is. But we're having that parallel life with the pianist, and we're making their art work for them through the instrument. That's how we feel and see it. That's our job. We're facilitators.
You must, of course, develop wonderful relationships often with these artists, over the years, because you are sort of their right-hand man in many ways. You keep things going. You must have some lovely stories of some of the people that you've worked with over the years and how it's developed and what you've noticed with them as well.
Sure. Yeah, lots of anecdotes.
Yeah. Tell us a few then, David. Yeah.
One of the lots of fun times, especially picking pianos or choosing pianos for an institution.
Yeah.
That can be fun with a famous pianist.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, where you ideally you would have a pianist and a piano technician who know their thing.
Yeah, of course.
Who can confer with each other and maybe disagree on here and there, but come to a common agreement that this particular piano in this range is from a factory is the one we want. That kind of thing. Or in a piano competition, it gets interesting. It's my fourth international so far in recent years.
Wow. Okay.
It can be challenging where you've got a pianist in the late stage, say in the semi-finals, who's thinking of changing from the piano they've been playing, which might be yours, in my case the Fazioli, into something other, and then you have to say, well, okay, without casting any aspersion on anyone or anything, or playing down any other instrument, which is a definite no-no, because they're all good instruments.
Of course.
It's nonsense to say one is better than the other. So you're there to rescue the situation and say, well, you're doing, the most I would ever say is something like, you seem to be doing well with us so far. Yeah. And that the inference there is that, are you sure you want to take that leap? It's a great piano, but it's a change. Yeah. That's the kind of thing we're allowed to say that here too. Yeah. And it's fair, but
of course,
only in no coercion and no, come and play our piano and we'll give you this, that, or the other, or saying crappy things about other people's instruments is absolutely out of the question.
Yeah, it doesn't get us anywhere, does it?
It's unprofessional.
No, it's unprofessional, and every instrument is as unique as a person.
Absolutely.
It's one of the things. Yeah. The instrument, of course, here in the Verbruggen Hall will move then to the Opera House.
Yeah.
So what's that process like?
It's hell.
Okay.
Because having spent the last 2 weeks making our instrument sound perfect for this, as good as we can, there's no such thing as perfect, as good as we can make it for this particular space, which has its own acoustic characteristics, and the piano has its own natural voice that it feels and sounds at its best. We then go to a 3,000 seat auditorium, Sydney Opera House, which is another thing again. And so we've, having spent 2 weeks taming a monster, we have to make it a monster again. So this is it's not a paradox, a dichotomy, I guess. It's a polarization of use, where you're balancing sweet and brilliant here, and you're going to the Opera House where you just want pure energy. And some of the things that might normally irritate us as pianists and the technicians, noises and characteristics in the voice, are actually what you want out there.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, because those extraneous noises, you could call them, or unevenness, or whatever it is, that are inherent in all instruments, all pianos, could well be the thing you want in that space. So you've got to go find it again somehow. And that's a problem. That's difficult for us. Some makers choose to change actions over, which is the action mechanism that drives the strings, including all the keys, all the hammers, and all the moving bits. And attached to that action would be maybe a different set of hammers that are harder and less voiced and more brassy. And that will, especially for the big late Romantic and 20th century concerti that have big percussive demand on the instrument, and to fill the space, that other instrument has to come to the fore if it's got it in it. And you'd have to assume that all three pianos here do have them do have that other character in them already. You just need to find it using different materials, different techniques, and hopefully find the voice that the pianists are going to accept or want, to get the Bartok over there.
That of course was going to be my question. Of course, this is the next aspect we see of these young soloists. Because they have to play differently, don't they? They can't basically stay, perhaps a little bit reserved and back and fine in the same sort of way. They actually have to project themselves now to 3,000 people in a huge hall, and
dial 11.
Right.
And we have to do the same for the instrument. And hope that the instrument, it is within the instrument to be able to do that. So it's a split personality.
And a lot of work for you, and a very interesting and very, very difficult to define type of work, isn't it, in many ways? But very fascinating, I'm sure.
It's a challenge.
That's what we like. Thanks so much for finding some time.
You're very welcome, Brad.
David Kinney talking to me here. a piano technician and also on staff here at the Sydney Conservatorium of Music, from where this live broadcast is coming, Sydney International Piano Competition 2023.